check to make sure we are streaming. Yes, we are live. Just check. Yes, we are live. Okay. Good. Okay. Welcome to the evening class. And we'll get started in 1 second. Let me get the guitar out and we can chant. See what should we chant tonight. All right. Oh hey, Vaishnava Thakur. Say tomorrow, Krite Haru, tomorrow. Krishna se tomara shlutite paro mahashakari ajay Amito Kakala Krishna Krishna Holy Jai Tavapache Amito Kangala Krishna Krishna Boli Yayatava Pache Pache Onge Vaishnavata Yar Sadhare Dasai Karuna Atachaya Shoda Heyamaya Tumarata Hey Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Haribo Haribo Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvadikacharya also Tada Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chadanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Parem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuradam Ki Jai Jagadasami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivasesha Shanyavadi Paschacha Jaysha Tarane. So, we're going to continue with our study of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. We are on the 20th chapter of the Antya Lila, beginning with text 11 today. And this 20th chapter details with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statements of the Shikshashtaka and his realizations and connection in terms of his self-identity as Srimati Radharani. Of course, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, but he's identifying as Srimati Radharani. So in terms of his emotions, his realizations, his vision from that particular perspective. So this is a very, very deep chapter, and it's the last chapter in the Caitanya Caritamrta. So we invite you all to listen. Thank you. So let's continue. So we'll figure out what we're going to do after the Caitanya Caritamrta is over. What verse or what Shastra we're going to read. Okay. Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana. Oh, actually, I forgot to read the translation of this poem. Away Vaishnava Thakur. O Venerable Vaishnava, ocean of mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults. Bestow upon me the 6 qualities and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I am simply running behind you, shouting, Krishna, Krishna. So, let us go on to the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. So, Jaya Jaya, Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Alrighty. Nama Sankirtana Hoite, Sarvanartha Nasha, Sarva Shubhodaya Krishna Premera Ulasa. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna, one can be freed from all undesirable habits. This is the means of awakening all good fortune and initiating the flow of waves of love for Krishna. Of course, that's in reference to the first verse of the Shikshashika, Cheto Dharma Margin, that cleanses the heart. And that's one of the first things one experiences when one is chanting the Lord's holy names. I was actually listening to a memory class today, and George Harrison was talking to Srila Prabhupada, and he said, Srila Prabhupada, and he had great reverence for Srila Prabhupada. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm now chanting 16 rounds, but I have a problem. Because when I chant 16 rounds, I lose all interest in doing my normal business. And so what's the solution? Prabhupada said, just chant whatever rounds you can. Don't force yourself to chant 16 rounds. Of course, that instruction Prabhupada didn't give to everybody, but he gave that to George Harrison, and George Harrison did so much to spread Krishna consciousness. So this is what happens if you chant too much. Like tomorrow's the Ekadasi, if you chant too much, then you lose. So don't chant too much. Then you lose your enthusiasm for doing anything material. I mean, you'll look at your wife or husband and you won't be attracted anymore to the material aspects of your wife or husband. Your handsome husband, beautiful wife, you won't be attracted to those things. You'll just say, you're a servant of Krishna, and I love you as a servant of Krishna. But you won't succumb to Maya. But if you stop chanting, then punar mushikabhava, then the things comes back to you. Okay, now we go to the first verse of the Shikshashtika. And the translations will be a little different, or quite a bit different, than what we're accustomed to reading in the morning. Or in the songbook. Cheto darvan marjanam baba mahadvagni nirvapanam shreyakara vishanjaka vitaranam vijavadu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamritasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. Pratipadam. This is the first verse of the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shikshashtika. The other 7 verses are found in texts 16, 21, 29, 32, 36, 39, and 47. So, some of the verses here are like commentaries on each of the verses of the Shikshashtaka. You'll have the verse of the Shikshashtaka and then verses written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that actually purport that particular verse of the Shikshashtaka, or they purport Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood in relationship with that particular verse of the Shikshashtaka. So, try to remember that. And yes, I mean, that's what we've experienced. And of course, the first verse is Ado Shraddha, the initial faith in the holy names. So, next text. This is like a commentary on that first verse of the Shikshashtaka. Sankirtana Kayate Papa Samsarana Shana Chita Shuni Sarvabhakti Sadhana Udgama. By performing congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, one can destroy the sinful condition of material existence, purify the unclean heart, and awaken all varieties of devotional service. So, of course, even Namabhas chanting destroys Parabdha karma, Aparabdha karma, Kuta, Bija, and all the aspects of karma. So it's an interesting point that many devotees make, and it's a good philosophical discussion, that this body is an evidence of our Parabdha karma. It is our Parabdha karma, karmic reaction. So why, when we get rid of the Parabdha karma, does this body not cease to exist? Well, Krishna actually maintains it. But there's no, just by Namabhas chanting means accidental chanting, chanting meaning something else, joking chanting, even when one is making fun of the Hare Krishnas like that. So it destroys the sinful condition of material existence, purifies our heart, like our heart is unclean because we've had so many births here, we haven't taken a bath. Imagine millions and millions of births and no bath. And sometimes you run into people in the street who haven't taken a bath for weeks or months, and their body's just caked with dirt. You can't even see who they are. And awaken all varieties of devotional service. So that means awakened. That's interesting. Awakened, that means it was already there. Udgama. Awakening. Wow. That means we already had Krishna consciousness there in our hearts, but it awakened it. Krishna Pramodgama Primamata Chvadana Krishna Prapti Sivamrita Samudre Majjana. The result of chanting is that one awakens his love for Krishna and tastes transcendental bliss. Ultimately, one attains the association of Krishna and engages in his devotional service as if immersing oneself in a great ocean of love. Utila Vishadadainya Padayapana Shloka Yahara Artashuni Saba Yaya Duga Shoka. Lamentation and humility awoke within Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he began reciting another of his own verses. By hearing the meaning of that verse, one can forget all unhappiness and lamentation. Of course, one will have spiritual lamentation. And what is that lamentation? You'll hear in the next verse that even though Krishna has invested all this transcendental potency in the holy name, we don't have any attraction for them. And so that understanding of our lack of attraction should be an impetus for us to chant more purely or with more attention. Next verse, this is the second verse of the Shikshashtaka. Nam namakari vahuda nichasarva shaktish titrapita nimata smaranena kala etadrashi davakripa bhagavan mamapi duraiva midrasham miha jani nanuraga. My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity, and therefore you have many names such as, here we go, Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You invested all your potencies in those names, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy names, I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve attachment for chanting. So this is actually a very interesting instruction. That Krishna's invested his potency in all of his holy names. Of course, there's primary holy names and secondary holy names. Primary holy names are names like Krishna and Govinda. Secondary holy names are names like Paramatma, God, and other names that don't indicate Krishna's personal pastimes. Anyway, and so all of Krishna's potencies are in those names, and according to which name we chant, we develop a certain relationship with that particular form of the Lord. And as far as no hard and fast rules for remembering them, that's reference to rules of Niyamena Tishtan. That means time, place, and circumstance rules, such as the Gayatri mantra has to be chanted at a certain time of the day, morning, noon, and evening. And most Vedic mantras have all these rules connected to them. But the holy names of the Lord have absolutely no rules connected to them, except you have to avoid offenses. And one of the offenses is disobeying the order of the spiritual master, and the spiritual master told us to follow 4 regulated principles anyway. So you have to know the 10 offenses. There are spiritual rules, rules of consciousness rather than rules of Niyamena Tishtan, rules of time, place, and circumstance. And we lament that we don't have an attraction for them because we are committing offenses. Aneka lokera vancha, aneka prakara, kripate karila, aneka namera prachara. Because people vary in their desires, you have distributed various holy names by your mercy. Like there's different incarnations of the Lord, there's different cultures in the world. Kaite shuite, Swite yata tata namalaya kaladesha niyama nahi sarva siddhi hoya. Regardless of time or place, this is what I mentioned before, one who chants the holy name even while eating or sleeping attains all perfection. So while you're sleeping, you can actually be chanting Krishna's name. Sarva Shakti Namadila Karya Vibhaga Amara Duradaiva Name Nahi Anuraga. You've invested your full potencies in each individual holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attachment for chanting your holy names. Ye rupe lahi lae nama prema upajaya tahara lakshana shuna sarupa rama raya. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu continued, O Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy, please hear from me the symptoms of how one should chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to awaken very easily one's dormant love for Krishna. Now there's the next verse of the Shikshashtaka, and this is the symptoms of humility, because the humility arises knowing that one has no attraction for the chanting of the holy name in spite of Krishna's potencies being right everywhere in the holy names. Nija Sharva Shaktish. So the next verse is, so in other words, one verse follows from another. First verse glorifies in general the holy name of the Lord, and then specifically how Krishna's potency is invested in every name of the Lord, the second verse. And then the third verse, and then of course second verse is also how we have no attraction for them, we're bewildered. And then the third verse is the follows from the second, and you have the awakening of humility in the second, and then full humility in the third verse. Trinadapi shunichena tarodapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor but is always prepared to give all respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. So Humility is absolutely required. So, as I often say, one shouldn't think less of himself, one should think of himself less. One should think of Krishna's pleasure. And if you think of Krishna's pleasure, then you can tolerate a lot more than if you were thinking of your own pleasure. See, what gives pleasure to Krishna? I mean, sometimes, for example, we rise early in the morning, go to Mangalarti. So I'm thinking, what would give pleasure to Krishna and the devotees, of course? What is my responsibility? If I thought about my own physical bodily happiness, then tuck myself in bed and stay in bed and enjoy. Of course, it's not enjoyable to sleep. There's actually no enjoyment in sleeping. It's just like voiding out. So anyway, so you have to be humble, tolerant, and respecting everyone else and not expecting any respect for oneself. Uttamahanna apanake mane trinadama dvipakare sahishnuta karyaviksha sama. These are the symptoms of one who chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Although he is very exalted, he thinks himself lower than the grass on the ground, and like a tree, he tolerates everything in two ways. Vrikshi, this is about a tree. Vrikshiyena katileha kichuna boleha shukana maleya kare panana magaya. When a tree is cut down, whoops, it does not protest, and even when drying up, it does not ask anyone for water. Ye magaye tare dea panadana garma vrishti sahe anera karaye rakshana. The tree delivers its fruits, flowers, and whatever else it possesses to anyone and everyone. It tolerates scorching heat and torrents of rain, yet it still gives shelter to others. Sometimes when discussing this, I use the example of how people sometimes carve. Anyway, the volume is down on this. Let me check my volume. Hold on a second. Let me just move it up a little bit. Just want to make sure. All right, this should be better. All right, just keep an eye on the volume. All right, so sometimes I use the example about sometimes people carve their initials on trees, especially when you have young lovers who are RT and BL, heart. And the tree never protests about that. Okay, so the tree is very Uttamahana Vaishnavahave Niravimana Jive Samana Dive Jani Krishnadishtana. Although a Vaishnava is the most exalted person, he is prideless and gives all respect to everyone, knowing everyone to be the resting place of Krishna. In other words, Prabhupada said when we offer obeisances, we're offering obeisances because we understand everyone is a temple of Krishna and Krishna is in the heart. The soul is in the heart and Krishna is in the heart too. So the body is a temple, and that's why we put tilak on. Sometimes people ask you, why do I have to put that tilak on? Because tilak is a sign of the temple. This is Krishna's temple. It's like sometimes people have a tattoo that say, oh, I belong to my beloved. They put a tattoo on their arm or something like that, or all over their bodies or whatever. So the tilak is it's not a tattoo exactly. But certain sampradayas, they actually don't, not just tattoo, they burn it in. They brand you with things. But, we put the tilak on here and all over the body, different places of the body, to signify there's a temple. That's all. Emata hana ye Krishna namalaya, Shri Krishna charane dana prema upajaya. If one chants the holy name of Lord Krishna, in this manner he will certainly awaken his dormant love for Krishna's lotus feet in a very humble way. Kaite kaite prabhudainya bhatila, Shuddha Bhakti Krishna Tani Magite Lagila. As Lord Chaitanya spoke in this way, his humility increased, and he began praying to Krishna to be able to discharge pure devotional service. Premera Swabhava Yahan Premera Sambandha Semane Krishna Mora Nahi Prema Gandha. Whenever there is a relationship of love of Godhead, its natural symptom is that the devotee does not think himself a devotee. Instead, he always thinks that he has not even a drop of love for Krishna. So Prabhupada comments here. Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Thakur comments that persons who are actually very poor because they possess not even a drop of love of Godhead or pure devotional service falsely advertise themselves as great devotees, although they cannot at any time relish the transcendental bliss of devotional service. A class of so-called devotees known as Prakrita Sahajiyas sometimes display devotional symptoms to exhibit their good fortune. They are pretending, however, because these devotional features are only external. The Prakrita Sahajas, that means people take things cheaply, exhibit these symptoms to advertise their so-called advancement and love for Krishna. But instead of praising the Prakrita Sahajas for their symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, pure devotees do not like to associate with them. It is not advisable to equate the Prakrita Sahajas with pure devotees. One who is actually advanced in ecstatic love for Krishna does not try to advertise himself. Indeed, or instead, he endeavors more and more to render service to the Lord. The Prakrita Sahajas sometimes criticize pure devotees by calling them philosophers, learned scholars, knowers of the truth, or even minute observers, but not devotees. On the other hand, they depict themselves as the most advanced, transcendently blissful devotees, deeply absorbed in devotional service and mad to taste transcendental mellows. They also describe themselves as the most advanced devotees in spontaneous love, as knowers of transcendental mellows, as the topmost devotees in conjugal love of Krishna, and so on. Not actually knowing the transcendental nature of love of God, they accept their material emotions to be indicative of advancement. In this way, they pollute the process of devotional service. They try to become writers of Vaishnava literature. They introduce their material conceptions of life into pure devotional service. Because of their material conceptions, they advertise themselves as knowers of transcendental mellows, but they do not understand the transcendental nature of devotional service. In other words, because they take everything cheaply, they don't understand sambandha. Now, sambandha means the different tattvas and the relationships with each other, and nor do they follow the process of abhideya. Abhideya means the process of becoming Krishna conscious, which is sadhana bhakti, which consists of Vaidhi and Raganuga and Bhava Bhakti, and they want to jump immediately to Prayojana, which is Prema Bhakti. And so here's the next verse in the Shikshashtaka. Nadanam najanam nasunturim kavitam ba jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktir haituki tvai. O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful wife, or fruit of activities described in flowery language. It's interesting, the Sundari. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated devotional service to you. And the real reason that we do not desire these things, or devotees, can't say I'm a devotee, the real reason that devotees do not desire these things is these things are impediments. Why? If you want wealth, you're getting into the mode of passion. Passion covers you up. It dirties your heart. Wanting followers is also a passionate thing. A beautiful wife, passion, ignorance there. Fruit of activities, it's all like passion and ignorance. And what passion and ignorance does is it actually covers your real knowledge. Avartam Ganametena, Ganino Nichavirana. And then you become immersed in Kamarupena Kontiyatushprenalena. And you become immersed in lust. Lust doesn't necessarily mean in a sexual sense, but in lust to enjoy this material world. And then it's like someone pulls a lampshade or a shade, sorry, not just a lampshade, a shade over your eyes and you can't see the deities anymore. I mean, you can see them, but it's not the same thing. You don't feel the reciprocation. It's just like everything becomes dull. Your vision becomes dull when you want these material things. And so that's pure devotional service. All I want is unmotivated devotional service to you, life after life. Dhanam jana nahi magan kavita sindure Shuddha bhakti de amore Krishna kripa kare. My dear Lord Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, nor do I want followers, a beautiful wife, or the results of fruitive activities. I only pray that by your causeless mercy you give me pure devotional service to you, life after life. Atidanye punamage dashabati dana apanare kare samsare jiva abhimana. In great humility, considering himself a conditioned soul of the material world, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu again expresses desire to be endowed with service to the Lord. So it's interesting here. It says, Dasha Bhakti Dana, the wording of devotional service and servitude. So you're actually moving up the rasas at this particular point too. Next verse. And this is, save me! Ainanantu nujakinkaram patitam mam vishame babam buddho rupiyata papatpagajastita duli sadrasam vichintaya. O my Lord, O Krishna, son of Nanda Maharaj, Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servant, but because of my own fruitive acts, I have fallen into this horrible ocean of nescience. Now please be causelessly merciful to me. Consider me a particle of dust at your lotus feet. Let's see what that horrible. Vishame, yeah. Vishame means horrible. Bhavam ambudo. It means ocean of material existence. It's interesting. Kripiya paratava padavangajastita duli sadrasam chintaya. Consider me. So it's a little bit different than the translation we usually have. Kinkaram, which may fall on me, horrible nescience. Tava padava, yeah. Kindly. It's interesting. The word vichintaya means kindly consider. A little bit different than what we read every day. So in other words, it's like a child, like Prabhupada said, a child crying out for his mother. Help. It's a cry of help. Tomara nityadasamwi toma pasadiya pariyachon babanarve mayabadahana. I am your eternal servant, but I forgot your lordship. Now I have fallen into the ocean of nescience and have been conditioned by the external energy. Kripakari karamore paraduli sama tomara sevakakaron tomara sevana. Be causelessly merciful to me by giving me a place with the particles of dust at your lotus feet so that I may engage in the service of your lordship as your eternal servant. Punati utkanta dainya hagila utkama Krishna tani magi prema nama sankirtan. Natural humility and eagerness then awoke in the Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He prayed to Krishna to be able to chant the Maha Mantra in ecstatic love. Next verse. So in other words, he's hankering for the symptoms of bhava because these are preliminary to achieving pure devotional service, achieving prema. So, Nayanam galadashrudaraya vadanam gadgada hridaya gida hulaka nichitam papukada tavanama graneva shiti. My dear Lord, when will my eyes be beautified by filling with tears that constantly glide down as I chant your holy name? When will my voice falter and all the hairs of my body stand erect in transcendental happiness as I chant your holy name? So in other words, when will it be? Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays, Kavi hobi Morose dinamar aparada guche. When will that day be mine? When aparada guche, when all the offenses ceasing, namaruchi, when will I have taste for chanting the holy name? Kavi habi bolose dinamar. When will it come? When will I have the symptoms of ecstasy mentioned here? So this is actually Bhava Premadana Vina Vyarta Daridra Jivana Dasa Kare Vitanamore Deya Premadana. Without love of Godhead, my life is useless. Therefore, I pray that you accept me as your servant and give me the salary of ecstatic love of God. Rasantara Vishehaila Viyoga Spurna Udvegan Vishara Dainye Kare Palapana. Separation from Krishna thus awoke the various mellows of distress, lamentation, and humility. So it's building. Each verse is building on the previous verses. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a crazy man. That's 7th verse. Yugayitam nimishena chakshasha pravishaitam shunyayitam jagatsarvam govinda vidhena me. My dear Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, I consider even a moment a great millennium. Tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I see the entire world is void. Wow. Yugayitam, millennium. So that's also a different translate. You probably translate once as 12 years or more, but actually millennium. Yugayitam, yuga. Udvega divasa nayaya kshanahayla yugasama varsharamega praya ashuvarishe nayana. In my agitation, a day never ends, for every moment seems like a millennium. Pouring incessant tears, my eyes are like clouds in the rainy season. Govinda virehe shunya ahila tribhuvana tushanale podeyena ayaya jivana. The 3 worlds have become void because of separation from Govinda. I feel as if I were burning alive in a slow fire. Krishna udasina hayala karite parikshana saki sava kaye Krishna kara upekshana. Lord Krishna has become indifferent, this is Radharani, to me just to test my love, and my friends say, better to disregard him. Eteka chintite radhara nimala hridaya swabhavika premara swabhava karila udaya. Well, Srimati Radharani, so now we're getting to Krishna Prema, was thinking in a way the characteristics of natural love became manifest because of her pure heart. Irisha utkantadanya prodi vinaya etubhava ekatani karila udaya. The ecstatic symptoms of envy, great eagerness, humility, zeal, and supplication all became manifest at once. Etabhave radharamana astirahila sakigana ge prodi shloka ye padila. In that mood, the mind of Srimati Radharani was agitated, and therefore she spoke a verse of advanced devotion to her gopi friends. Sevave Prabhu se shloka ucharila shloka ucharite tadurupa apane ahila. In that same spirit of ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited that verse, and as soon as he did so, he felt like Srimati Radharani. So this is Radharani's mood. This last verse of the Shikshashtaka. This is, let's say, the topmost mood in devotional service. Krishna Prema, but a Mahabhav too, the highest level. Ashlishava padavratam padashtumam darshanamaradam guruktuva yatatata bhavadadatu lambato matprananatastu saeva napara. Let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet, or let him trample me or break my heart by not being visible before me, to me, never being visible to me. He is a debauchee after all, and can do whatever he likes, but still he alone and no one else is the worshipful Lord of my heart. So this is the topmost level of devotional service. And you see the gopis, they're ready to go to hell. Just that story, Narada Muni was looking for someone to give the foot dust, a devotee to give foot dust to Krishna so that they could cure Krishna's headache, because Krishna said the only thing that will cure my headache is the foot dust of my devotees. And he went to all the devotees and nobody would give except for the gopis. And he asked them, aren't you afraid of going to hell? And they said, no, we want Krishna to be happy. Phew. Ami Krishna Padadasi, Teno Rasa Sukarashi, Alingi Akari Atma Sata, Kivana Dea Darashana, Karena Mora Tanumana, Tabu Teno Mora Prananatha. I am a maidservant at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. If he likes, he can tightly embrace me and make me feel oneness with him. Or by not giving me his audience, he may corrode my mind and body. Nevertheless, he who is the Lord of my life, it is he who is the Lord of my life. So these are Radharani's sentiments. Saki he, Shunamora Manera Nishya, Kiba Anuraga Kare, Kiba Duka Dhyamare, Mora Praneshra Krishna, Anya Aya. My dear friend, just hear the decision of my mind. Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions, whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness. Charyanya Narikana, Mora Vashatanu Mana, Mora Sobhagya Prakatakariha, Tatsavare Deyapira Amasane Kare Krida, Se Narikane Dekana. Sometimes Krishna gives up the company of other gopis and becomes controlled mind and body by me, Radharani speaking. Thus he manifests my good fortune and gives others distress by performing his loving affairs with me. Kiba le teno lampatas shatadrishta sakapatak anya nari ganakari sata more dite manapira mora ge kare krida tabu teno mora prananath. Or since, after all, he is a very cunning, obstinate debauchee with a propensity to cheat, he takes to the company of other women. He then indulges in loving affairs with them in front of me to give distress to my mind. Nevertheless, he is still the Lord of my life. That's pure devotional service. Naganiyapana dukkha sabivanchitara tanrasuka mara tatparya more yadi diasuka tanrahela mahasuka seduka mora sukavarya. I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness by giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. Wow. In other words, if it gives Krishna happiness that I'm in distress, then that's what I want. I'm not saying that's what I want, but that's Radharani speaking. Wow. Just let me read that again. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the devotee does not care about his own happiness and distress. He is simply interested in seeing that Krishna is happy, and for that purpose he engages in various activities. A pure devotee has no way of sensing happiness except by seeing that Krishna is happy in every respect. If Krishna becomes happy by giving him distress, such a devotee accepts that unhappiness as the greatest of all happiness. Phew! How many of us are on that level? Phew! That's pure devotional service. Those who are materialistic, however, who are very proud of material wealth and have no spiritual knowledge, like the Prakriti Sajas, regard their own happiness as the aim of life. So they think, I'm doing devotional service because I want to be happy. Of course, that's all right in the beginning. In the beginning, Akama Savra Kama Moksha Kama Dharadi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Jeta Purushamparam. One has ulterior desires, and those ulterior desires can be purified by the process of devotional service. So don't feel guilty if you don't feel like that. I mean, one should be honest. You say, I'm on that level. Krishna will say, well, you think you're on that level. Let's see, buddy, if you're actually on that level. And you can prove it, and sometimes you don't pass that test. Some of them aspire to enjoy themselves by sharing the happiness of Krishna. This is the mentality of fruitive workers who want to enjoy sense gratification by making a show of service to Krishna. So, in other words, the desire and the activity to please Krishna transcend one's own personal feelings and emotions. And that's a high level. High level. Don't try to push anyone to that level. Okay, so today we went to verse, hold on, Prabhuis, from 11 to 52 in the 20th chapter. Maybe tomorrow we'll finish, I'm not sure. There's not that many verses in the 20th chapter. I think it may take 2 more days. Well, tomorrow is a Sunday feast, so we'll see what we do. Okay, so now we will give you an opportunity to speak and ask some questions. He's saying
Hare
that,
Krishna, Gurudev.
what, Hare Krishna. Oh, good to see
Hare
you.
Krishna. Yeah, my obeisances to you.
My blessings.
Uh,
So, you have a question.
yeah. Yesterday we were having a read and relish with our cousins in India, and one of the questions we were asked was, what was the mood of Srila Prabhupada when he worshipped Krishna? Was it Madhurya Ras or Vatsalya or uh, Sakhya Ras?
That is his personal business.
Okay.
When Prabhupada was asked that question, he didn't want us to delve into it. Prabhupada didn't even want us to delve into his intense feelings of separation from his guru when we asked that question. Prabhupada said, basically, he said, when a devotee asks about his intense mood of separation from the guru, Prabhupada said, that question you don't need to ask. So it's his personal dealing. So his question in the chat window, he's saying that he is in the ocean of material existence, but there must be some relationship and intimacy. Otherwise, he wouldn't address Krishna uh, as the son of Nanda. Yes, obviously. I mean, for example, we're immersed in the, just from our position, we're immersed in the ocean, at least myself, immersed in the ocean of material existence, but still we cry out to Krishna, Govinda, son of Nanda Maharaj, because we have this knowledge by Prabhupada's mercy. So that's why. So you can be immersed in the ocean of material existence, but you'll still be hankering for some intimate relationship, or still understand Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So, okay, here's some questions that have been raised. Tulsi first. What's her question? Unmute
Oh,
yourself.
okay. These are my vacancies. I was just thinking how Krishna um nudges us along in becoming surrendered like that. Like we may um someone comes, we need to share Krishna consciousness with them, or they're wanting us to. We may not be in the mood for it or something, and then we think, well, this will please Krishna and my guru, so I'll do it. And then then when we do it, then we realize how happy we are because,
Yes. Yes, we function on the intelligence platform right now. That we understand something will please Krishna, even though, I don't want to do it. It's like pulling my teeth. So then we do it. Very good point. Thank you, Tulsi Devidasi. Okay, and next is Rishikesh Ananda.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. My
Haribo.
obeisances. Gurudev, my question is, earlier I heard from you saying that, the devotees, they do not have even prarabdha karma, right? Krishna maintains their body.
Yes.
So when a devotee goes through disease and all that, that also is basically given by Krishna directly?
Yes, Krishna is giving a token reaction. Sometimes Prabhupada would talk about that, the token reaction of their past karma, in such a way as to enhance their devotional service. I mean, I'm experiencing, at least the last week, not right now, when I was going through this painful condition, uh, with my challenge, my health challenge, that I was crying out to Krishna. And I could see why Krishna had arranged it. I mean, it's not that I appreciated it, but I could see how Krishna arranged it to help detach me from this world. Because naturally, even at my age, I was thinking, I'm in such good health, I'm following such a nice diet, and, I'll go on for at least another 50, 60, 70 years. But Krishna's saying, hey, buddy, you got a material body. And then he's saying that, and then I said, oh no, Krishna, I have of old age, birth, death, disease, and old age. I thought birth, death, disease, and old age was just for other people, but now I'm discovering it's for me too. And miseries for the other things too, like we have the adhyatmic, adhibodic, and adhidaivic miseries from one's own body and mind, miseries from the material energy. Like right now it's extremely hot outside. Of course, now it's not as hot as it is in Europe and some other places. And we do have, for the most part, some modern conveniences. But still, it's pretty hot. And miseries from other living entities. Sometimes the people who we love the most, or trust the most, or expect the most, they do things that are extremely painful. So, anyway, so Krishna's reminding us. It's not exactly karma. But also, we do suffer miseries because we didn't take precautions, like we're following an improper diet, if we don't wear a seatbelt, if we're not careful while we're driving. Like I gave the example that I had that traffic ticket sometime. Wasn't just a token reaction from Krishna. It was because I was speeding and trying to enjoy this material world. So Krishna was showing me something. Anyway. So it's interesting. Jai Radhika said, Krishna also arranged, because of my infirmity or challenge, which is still going on, that the devotees got together in Sydney and other places and prayed really hard. So, Krishna has different things he arranges to deepen our devotional service. And even the miseries are arranged by Krishna. It's not karma. I mean, karma, Prabhupada also explained that when one first comes to Krishna consciousness, that there's some residual effects of karma, which Prabhupada compared to the residual momentum of a fan that's unplugged. So, because the fan keeps spinning, but it's slowing down gradually. So, hopefully in my case, after 50 some odd years, 51, 52 years in the Krishna consciousness movement, actually much more than 50. So, then the fan has actually stopped, I hope. Because I haven't done any of the bad things in over 50 years. So, good question. Thank you, Rishikesh.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Okay, it's time to end. Tomorrow, I'm not sure if we'll do more of the Shikshashtaka or it's a Sunday feast here. So we may do something more basic, like the Bhagavad Gita or something like that for the Sunday feast, because we're having people come at the temple and we'll be broadcasting too. So everybody be careful, because COVID is still going around and I think it's increasing. So we request you all to be very careful and take precautions. Protect your health. Don't blame it on Krishna. Don't blame it on karma if you do something or you risk yourself. It's your doing. It's the actions of the material energy. Okay, so on that happy note, we are going to end. Thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.